an incredible administrator who's heard from God, who's managing this famine. And while he's doing it, Pharaoh is actually getting more powerful. What does the Bible say about serving underneath an ungodly leader? Let's talk about it. Maybe this is your circumstance. Maybe there's a boss, a person of authority. They're not following God. They're not a Christian. They do not believe in Jesus. Maybe they're doing a lot of wrong things. We can learn all about it in Joseph's story. Genesis 45 through 47. It's all there. Let's start in 47, verse 17. It says this: Pharaoh said to Joseph, hey, tell your brothers, this is what you must do. Load your pack animals, hurry back to the land of Canaan, then get your father, all the animals, return here to me, and I will give you the very best land in Egypt, and you will eat from the best that the land produces. This is Pharaoh giving Joseph instruction. Now, a lot has happened up till this point in the story. Here's some background for you. Remember, this is the same Joseph that was sold into slavery, once his father's favorite. Now his father is convinced that he died. Remember, he had that coat of many colors. He had those dreams. He told those dreams to his brothers. They faked his death, sold him into slavery. He's been in Egypt for a long time now. He interpreted other people's dreams in jail and got pulled out of jail. Now he serves Pharaoh as his right-hand man. All the while, in this point of the story, Jacob and his family, they're returning. He is coming to Egypt to be with Joseph, and Pharaoh welcomes them. While all this is happening, Joseph he stewards this plan through a famine, and it literally reshapes an entire nation. One thing that we have to understand is that Joseph is no longer just the youngest brother. He's now the most powerful administrator in the whole world. We don't really understand that. We think Joseph is the dreamer. He's the younger brother. He finds favor with Pharaoh. No. He's Pharaoh's guy, and he leads through this famine while being the most powerful administrator in Egypt, potentially the whole world. This is the background that we're experiencing. One question that I've often asked myself was Pharaoh an ungodly man? And the Bible would suggest that yes, he was. He was leading a nation that served many gods, not just one God. He probably thought himself to be a god as well. And he had no covenant with the God of Israel. The Bible indicates there's no faith, there's no covenant, he has no relationship with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But even though he has no covenant, Pharaoh actually is portrayed in a positive light throughout this story. There's a few things that we have to mention. In Genesis 41:38, he actually says to Joseph, can we find anyone like this man in whom is the Spirit of God? It's like, hang on a sec, there's maybe some indicator that Pharaoh understands that there is a one true God. We don't know. There's a few other things that happen. First of all, Pharaoh gives Jacob and Joseph and all the relatives, he gives them the best land. In fact, he gives them the land of Goshen. This is the best land in the surrounding area. The other thing that he does is he provides resources and protection for Jacob and his family. And most strikingly, after all this goes down, Jacob blesses Pharaoh on multiple occasions. Yeah, you heard that right. Jacob blesses Pharaoh. It's found in Genesis 47:17. Then Joseph brought in Jacob, his father, and stood before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. It's an interesting thing. And it happens again 3 verses later. Verse 10, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from the presence of Pharaoh. Here's ultimately the big tension, though. We have Joseph, who's this an incredible administrator who's heard from God, who's managing this famine. And while he's doing it, Pharaoh is actually getting more powerful. Under the administration of Joseph, Pharaoh is acquiring more land, more money, more people to work for him, slaves, and Pharaoh is becoming all the more powerful, which kind of begs the question, is it okay to serve an ungodly leader? And more importantly, does sometimes God actually call us to serve an ungodly leader? Do you see why all this is going on? We got to remember Abram. If you flip back, we got to remember Abram and the promise that God gives to Abram. It's found in Genesis chapter 12, verse 3. Here's what it says. I'll bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you, I will curse. We find Pharaoh, he's not dishonoring Jacob. He's not dishonoring Joseph. He's actually blessing him. He's actually extending hospitality to him. He's actually being kind to him. And I think God is honoring that. I think God in turn is actually blessing Pharaoh and Egypt through the promise of Abraham. Still the question remains we haven't answered. What does the Bible say? Well, here's the fact of the matter. God called Joseph to serve underneath Pharaoh for that specific time. We have to understand that God often uses ungodly leaders to accomplish godly purposes. And Genesis 45 through 47 reminds us that God's covenant does not depend on ideal leaders, perfect systems, or moral governments. God is going to work behind the scenes. He's orchestrating everything. Maybe there's an ungodly authority in your life. Here's my question to you. What has God called you to do? Has God called you to serve underneath that leader? Has God called you for such a time as this, just like he did Joseph? Because if so, what if there's a plan? What if God is working underneath the ground? What if he's working behind the scenes? What if he's orchestrating everything into action through you, just like he did through Joseph? Hey, if you liked this, check out yesterday's video. We're going to continue to ask tough questions about the Bible. We'll see you soon.